No,
There's no question about that.
yeah.
He's
Heath Ledger was amazing.
That role killed him.
It did.
Yeah,
Definitely did.
Are we live?
Yeah.
Yeah, that role definitely did kill him.
Yeah.
What do you think about that, though, man? Like, what makes these people who play Joker just so nutty? Do they bring that character home with them?
Of course. You know Jack Nicholson.
Yeah, I was trying to think of his name.
I love Jack.
You were trying to think of his name.
Yeah.
You know what he said, right?
Yeah, he warned him.
He warned him not to take that role.
What do you mean warned him?
Okay.
He was the Joker in like one of the older movies.
I wasn't a big fan of his Joker, though.
Yeah, but he told Heath Ledger, like, you know what you're signing up for, because like, do you know how actors get in that mind state and like they
play the part.
What do they like? Develop a personality and just keep it with themselves?
Yep.
That's
100.
it?
It takes over them.
Yeah, isn't there like a rumor or something that like he locked himself in a hotel room for like a month or 3 months just with all Joker stuff, and that before he started recording?
Yeah.
And that he killed it. You know, he did a great job. And there was like a improv when the hospital blew up. Do you remember that scene?
I think so.
Where he's like a nurse and then he walks out and he blows it up.
That's pretty
That was an improv because it was supposed to explode on the first click, but he stayed in character, kept clicking it, and then it exploded and he like flinched. And then there's more recording that wasn't in the movie where like he gets on the bus and the bus is driving and the place is still exploding and he doesn't turn around once the whole time. There's a building burning down next to him. He stays in character, just looking straight forward. It's phenomenal.
There was one actor, it's funny, I wanted to mention that he was getting ready for a movie role and he was in character before they obviously shoot the movie. So his wife said that he was scaring us. He was literally scaring them because he was like in this movie, like this character even at home and with his kids and his wife. And they were like, hey, what's, when are you going to stop? Hey, cut.
Like, it's not
cut.
funny anymore.
Yeah.
All right,
It's
we
called
get it. You're
method
good.
acting.
Huh?
Method acting. So it's like even when the cameras are off, you're still in character. So while they're filming the movie, let's say they film for a year, they're going to be in character for the whole year, even when the cameras are off.
But could they be that dedicated to their career? You know? Like they lose weight, they gain weight, they become that person, really.
Yeah.
And that's what makes them good. Or is it something else, you think?
I think, you can definitely invite something from the spiritual realm, right? I mean, we all believe in that, If you don't believe in, demons or bad energy, then you're just lying to yourself, because all cultures believe in that. Every single culture from ancient times believed in that. And even if you still don't believe in that, then explain to me what are nightmares. Explain to me what nightmares are. When you're sleeping and you open this door, because first, nightmares just, they don't just pop up once you sleep. First, you have those, good dreams. You might be walking in a garden somewhere with a friend that you haven't seen in a long time. And then all of a sudden, it takes a different turn. And you realize that, oh my God, what is this dark place filled with this crazy energy? And you're entering into that world when you're asleep.
I see what you're saying. Do you guys ever like wake up from a nightmare and then bring it to your present moment? Like as soon as you wake up, like that bad energy is still there.
Yeah.
Right? Or like sometimes you wake up and you can't move. Scientifically, we would call it sleep paralysis, but I'm sure other cultures would call it being possessed.
Yeah. Right? Ever happened to one of you guys?
It happened to me.
Yeah, there was like one time where like I think it was sleep paralysis. It might have been something else. I can't remember the name right now, but it was like I woke up and I was facing the wall, and then I saw like a tarantula on the wall, and I couldn't move at all, nothing.
But you're trying to move.
I'm trying to move. I'm like, oh, it's a tarantula. Like where did this come from?
Right.
And then like out of nowhere, like I get ability to move, and it wasn't there. So I looked into it, and it's like a thing where when you're in sleep paralysis, or I think it's something different because sleep paralysis is like where you kind of control your dreams.
No. That's not sleep paralysis. Paralysis is basically when you can't move, so you're like paralyzed.
Right.
So, but you woke up.
Right. So maybe I did have the sleep paralysis, and then when I searched it up, it was like
when you control your dreams, lucid dreaming.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I'm confusing the two. Yes, you're right. You're right. Yeah, so like it's a thing where you see an intruder, and for me, it was a tarantula being on my wall right next to me.
But when you woke up, you actually saw it?
No, it wasn't.
Oh,
like,
okay.
I was awake. When I was able to move, I wasn't there.
Right.
That's. What do you think about that?
What was your experience with it, Wasso?
Oh, me? Wow. I had a couple of spooky ones, but where I've mentioned it to people, but they always thought I was like a nutcase, that I'm just seeing things. But I remember one time I had a really bad dream and I woke up. And when I woke up, I felt there was this extremely bad energy in the room, and I can't see anything, but I feel there's a presence of something here, right? And all of a sudden, now I started hearing footsteps. Everybody's asleep, by the way, inside the house. There's no one up, right? And I started hearing footsteps, but like in my room, here, by myself, right? And I'm thinking, no, my mind is playing tricks on me. Of course not. I don't believe in this stuff. I don't believe in demons or ghosts or things of that nature. I'm like 18 years old, by the way. But I still feel the bad energy. It's still there. I remember closing the window before going to sleep, and I saw my window open as well. Now I'm thinking, okay, my mind is still playing tricks on me. I probably opened it before I went to sleep. And I'm sitting here like this. I'm laying down on the bed like this. And all of a sudden, my hand moves up like that. And I started freaking out. I said, no way, I didn't do that. I did not do that. There's no way. I'm a very rational person. I like to think that I am. And I said, no way. Maybe it was a jerk while I'm going to sleep, because that's what science will tell you, right? Of course, it was like a jerk that happens when you fall asleep. So this is nothing the case. But how would science explain that energy that I'm feeling right now that's here? It was almost like there's a presence of something here that I can't see it. Almost like how I can feel you here right now. And I just close my eyes here for a second, but I know that you're here.
The sixth sense.
In a way. I got up and I went out and I woke up everybody. And that's how I knew everybody was sleeping. And I woke them up and they're like, what's wrong? And I was like, nothing. I'm just going to lay down here with you guys for a second until I feel better.
Yeah.
And the next morning, obviously when I felt a little bit more braver, and I told them, and they're like, oh no, just go back to sleep. It's nothing, it's just your head. And till this day, I'm like, it wasn't in my head.
No, but the thing is, when people, they told you it's just in your head. Right? And that's the same thing that I tell my daughter when she wakes up from a bad dream. No, well, it's nothing. I know what it is, right? But you just don't want to tell people what it is, right? You just don't. You want to give them that the hope, right? We don't want to just be like, yeah, those were devils, or that you had one of those bad experiences. Yeah, we just want to make you feel like soften it up. Everything is okay.
Sugarcoat it. It's okay.
It's funny that I said Sixth Sense, because remember the movie, The Sixth Sense? I see dead people.
I love that movie.
Remember that movie?
That movie was so good.
You remember that one?
What a shock.
The Sixth Sense with who was the main actor?
Bruce Willis.
Bruce Willis.
At the end, you realize he's been dead the whole time.
Yeah.
And that
you guys didn't see that movie? You have to watch that movie. I'm not a big fan of horror flicks. It doesn't tickle my pickle.
It wasn't really a horror film though. It was more like a thriller, I'd say.
Yeah.
It wasn't really scary.
No, I mean during that time, yeah. You know what I mean? And they're laughing at me at tickle my pickle.
What tickles your pickle?
Yeah. But that's funny. And another point, right? I don't know what you think about this, but you ever had a dream where you're falling down?
Oh, when you jerk up and you fall. Yeah. Yeah, that feels so real.
Like me, I used to get them a lot when I was younger. And it would always be the same thing. I'm falling backwards. And for me, I don't know if this is like a cultural thing or, it's a saying, but from when I used to tell my mother that this and this happens to me, and I would wake up every single time. Right before I hit the ground.
Yeah.
And my mom used to say to me that that if you see yourself in the dream that you actually hit the floor, then you actually die in your sleep.
Okay.
I don't know how true that is, right? But that's some freaky stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard that too. I was actually gonna bring that up. I don't know if it's true either.
Yeah.
But I definitely heard
there's
that.
no way we can verify it.
There's no
No,
way.
we can speculate.
Right, but
Obviously.
I'm pretty sure. Do you ever had that experience?
Falling dreams, I did have. I had flying dreams as well, and yeah, like, could it be that you're coming from another realm straight into this body, so that's why you feel that sensation of falling?
That's a good point. I never thought about
what
it
are
that way.
dreams really? I would say you're actually experiencing it in another realm, somewhere else. That there might be infinite possibilities and infinite realms where we can experience, and you don't necessarily have to travel by a rocket ship somewhere. When we go to sleep, like every day that we do, we kind of die and leave this flesh vehicle here, and then we go somewhere else. Where do we go?
Yeah, because we're not bodies with souls, but we are more like souls with bodies.
Right.
Exactly. Like even if you're sleeping, your body's shut off. But that doesn't mean your soul is. Even though you're physically sleeping, your body's sleeping.
Yeah, sleep is the cousin of death.
Okay, but that doesn't specifically mean your soul is sleeping.
Right.
Your soul is always awake.
Yeah.
So basically, that's what science says, right? That's what sleep paralysis is. That there's a mechanism within your body that it actually shuts off, so you're not acting out those dreams that you're seeing in this body. That's what science says, right? And if you wake up and that mechanism doesn't shut off, now you can't move. So they say basically that back in the days when people didn't understand this concept, they would say that there's a demon possessing you, that you can't control yourself, and they're sitting on your chest. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't like to put all my eggs in the basket of science always.
Yeah.
There might be just some things that they're not looking towards.
Because science is I'm a believer of science, of course, but science is like, how do you explain this whole thing that's going on around us?
Why do you why is it happening, right?
Yeah.
Science might tell you how it's happening, but is it telling you why it's happening?
Yeah, because they don't really have the answers to the why.
Right.
Nobody really knows,
They don't really care for the why.
Yeah, it's more about the
It's
how.
about the how.
Yeah. So basically you look at the galaxies, you look at the stars, you look at the sun, you look at the moon and the way it's just hanging up in the sky, like a beautiful portrait, right? When you look up at the sky, all you see is this beautiful light that hangs up above you and gives you some light in a dark path that you may be walking, in the midst of the night, right? But you forget the fact that this moon. How big is the moon? The moon is gigantic, but we're so used to the fact that this is it's like a beautiful portrait. We really don't reflect on what's really above us. So science tells you it's kind of like when you're looking at a painting from like Michelangelo, right? And you say, this painting, it's what do you see when you look at this beautiful painting? Science tells you, well, we see some colors, and those colors are made out of so-and-so, and then we see a canvas, and that canvas is made out of, this, and it's made out of that. But they're missing the beautiful picture that you're telling them to look at. They're just telling you what it's made out of. But what about the picture here?
What about the experience of beauty? How do you explain that? Right?
Yeah, there's no flaws.
But how do you explain that? When you experience beauty and how that makes you feel very satisfied.
Wasn't Van Gogh's one of his famous portraits that he drew? Wasn't it? What's that?
The Starry Night?
One we always seen in school.
Yeah, I think it was The Starry Night. Where it's like very surreal.
Yeah,
almost like cartoony.
Yeah, that was a famous one.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Always see it in
If I'm not
school,
mistaken, I think that's
class.
Van Gogh, right? Like it's a picture of himself, and then there's a Starry Night in the back, right? And he's like a redhead.
I'm not
Yeah,
sure
Van
if that
Gogh.
was
Van
him,
Gogh
but
is the dude that cut off his ear, right?
his own ear. Yeah.
Yeah, for like some love or something like that. Thank God he's not around today, man, because he would have been in trouble because he wouldn't be able to wear a mask. You know, you'd have to find him like a special mask to wear.
But that's funny though, how there was an era of many artists, right? When you had Van Gogh, Da Vinci,
Bless you.
Thank you.
you had Antoni Gaudi, the known architect from Spain.
Right.
You'll see his art in Barcelona even today. The buildings, everything he's made, the architect. It's basically a picture, but without drawing it, he decided, you know what, I'm going to sculpt it out. And it took him years. And And even if you go today, you'll still see it. So yeah, different forms of art that they did.
You made me think about how all these people, like all these artists, were idols during the ancient times, right? Back in the day, Michelangelo, Van Gogh, Leonardo, all of them were idolized.
This is before cameras, of course. If somebody had the ability to share a perspective with you, right, and show you their vision, they were like a magician. This is before cameras. You got to understand this,
Right?
So somebody can say like, "Hey, you went here, you experienced this. How was that?" And now this man can just, from his hands on a piece of paper, show you not exact, but from their perspective, what the picture was like. This is like magic. Like, wow, dude, you're talented. And I feel like that's what art started from.
And that's what made them great artists, because that was one of their only ways of expressing it.
Right. And obviously each artist had their own tweak to things, like Van Gogh being like very surreal and how things be. But I would say it's from their perspective now. They're showing you that. So now when you see it, if they could, and the colors, having different colors that you can't find everywhere. All this stuff took work, man. We take it for granted because the fact that we have pictures and cameras, but
That's like when you see him at the art galleries. He's standing in front of this picture,
you think everybody knows what they're looking at, or they're just
Yeah.
pretending to be cultured to act like,
Oh, that's admiration.
I do that a lot.
They're all trying to figure out what the artist was trying to tell them. And that's the feeling I get when I look at it in nature. Sometimes you have to think, what? I mean, they want to say the universe, right? Let's say many people don't believe in the idea of God, right? But let's say the universe. Well, then that means the universe is one amazing artist. I mean, just have you ever seen a sunset, my friend? Have you ever seen a beautiful moonlight and a perfect summer day on the beach? So you have to really pay homage to this universe that is creating in such a magnificent way. And even the greatest paintings, you'll find flaws in them. But not the painting that lives around us, not the painting that we are in, right? Because I've never seen an unusual hole in the sky that doesn't belong there. Or maybe it's just the way.
It's perfect, man.
Yeah.
Everything is happening in such perfection.
Also, you never get sick of it. Like, you look at a painting, how long before you're like, all right, on to the next one.
Yeah.
But I could see a sunset every day, and then I'll be in awe, taking pictures, and
that's
admiring it.
I kind of think about this at times. Like, do people who live in like beautiful, serene places, do they ever get sick of it? And usually whenever I travel to these places, I ask them, and they're like, no, they don't. Like, we know what we have,
Yeah.
Like, would you ever get sick of seeing a gorgeous sunset every single day? Probably not.
It's interesting. I was working.
I'm sorry to cut you off. Sure. I think it necessarily kind of like it does something to you. It kind of soothes you when we see like nature. I was hiking the other day and I'm telling my friend, like, I don't know, I feel at ease. I feel at peace when I see these mountains and I see the sky in a certain way. It really does something to us internally. Do we all experience this?
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
There's something going on there.
Here's something interesting. I was working at a gas station for my cousin on the weekends, and this Jehovah Witness came in, and he was like, "Hey, how you doing today?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm good."
Here we go.
Yeah.
Here comes the preaching.
Yeah,
Nobody already got a Bible.
Yeah. So, but you know, it's because we learned at a young age to dismiss anything that goes against what you believe. But we as human beings, I believe that we have to learn how to accept any type of knowledge from anyone, right? So I learned something from that pamphlet. Here's the thing. So I was like, all right, like, what you got to offer? Thank you very much. I took the flyer or whatever he was, distributing.
Yeah.
And I opened it up and I decided to read a little bit. And it said something in the line of, why do human beings love beautiful surroundings like nature or, being on a beach or staring at a sunset? It said it's because that we were originally meant to be in paradise. So it's something that takes us back to our original home. It's kind of like a reminder of home. Home sweet home, like they say, right?
Wow.
There's no place like home. So who knows? Is it a glimpse? And I'm talking to all of the believers in God, the ones who believe that there is, an afterlife, right? Which I found to be very interesting. And after that, I never dismissed any type of information anyone would give me.
Right, you could learn something from everybody.
Yeah.
I like that perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of resonates with me, I would say. You do feel like some sort of feeling of like reminiscing in a way. I like that perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like just switching gears a little bit and going back to like the whole dream thing, kind of like it had me thinking of like, how when you're with different people, it brings out different versions of you, whether it be like you're more religious, you're nicer, you're meaner, you're more tough, whatever it is.
Right.
It kind of had me thinking of like, what brings out the true version of you or of myself, right? And personally, everyone has their own opinion, but to me, I feel like the only two times, arguably, that you're your true self is when you're alone and you're in your thoughts, right? Not just your actions, your thoughts. I feel like when you're in your thoughts, you are a person in your mind, really, like, crafting ideas that you want to do, plans that you want to do, and like trying to figure out how to do it, per se, right? And the second one is dreams, mainly because you have no control really over your thoughts and what's to come. You don't even know what's to come or how it got there, but it's like, it's so real. You're really there, and like there's just no control over it, and you're just really yourself. You see how you react to things, scary things, how you react. Sometimes you're so scared you can't move. That happened to you in like a nightmare.
Right.
And sometimes you're just like, well, how would I react in real life? And then you give it thought, you're like, oh, I'll react differently. But in reality, you're kind of like, in the moment.
Yeah.
You're always like, oh, but in the moment, you can't really do this. You don't have time to think about it.
What do you think about that, Moan?
Yeah, do you guys feel like there's a different time when you're like with your wife, for example, right? Maybe that's one time you might feel like it's your true version. But even then, is it really?
With your like significant other, the person who's really closest to you more than anything.
Right.
What about your mother? Someone like your mom?
Yeah.
Man, for me, I would say we wear skins.
Masks.
Masks. And if anything, we're all of them. I would say every single one of them that you become That's you in that environment. You know, if you put me out in war right now, I probably won't have a problem killing my enemy. But if you tell me right now, hey man, would you want to be a killer? No. But my environment in that time, yeah, man, the circumstances called for it, and I had to do what I had to do to survive. Same thing now in every single environment or aspect that you put me. Maybe if I'm with a girl, I'm a little bit more sweeter. If you put me around the guys, oh, I'm a little bit more tough. If you're around with your parents, or you're a little bit more respectful, you're more humble. If you're around your teacher, you know, you tend to listen more, obviously, because you want to teach. You're every one of those guys.
I agree.
Yeah.
But I kind of also disagree, right? Because like,
you think there's that one self, that who you are when you're alone?
Like, kind of. So like when you're alone,
yeah.
You said like when you're in war, you don't mind killing someone, but when right now you would, of course. But when you're alone, right? Would you mind killing someone? Would you mind being disrespectful? You get what I'm trying to say?
Depending on your mood, right? Depending on the environment. Depending on what's going on, depending on the circumstances. Like, I feel like we come in waves. You know, there's ups and downs. Everything goes in a wave, and you're never really constant as a human being, because we're already always constantly living. We're constantly changing. You're never stagnant ever. I remember when that thought hit me at one point, that we're never stagnant. Time never stops. All the molecules within your body are always evolving, always moving. Well, in the whole world, really. But nothing ever stops. So the person who you were 5 minutes ago, you are not now. And the person you're now, you won't be 5 minutes.
That's funny, because when I look at a picture of myself when I'm 16 years old, you know, I'm 34 now. And I kind of feel like, who is this guy? This is not is it me? You ever look at an old picture like, yeah, I know this is me, but what is attached to this person with like him and I, right? Only but memories. And I thought about it. I was like, you know how a snake sheds its skin? And I feel like that's how human beings are. Every couple of years, you shed that skin and you grow new skin, just like that snake, right? And you only shed the old skin because life is preparing you for new experiences, maybe trauma, maybe joy. But I feel like it's like life knows what type of skin you're going to need during this period. I don't know, but that's an interesting point you brought up.
Yeah, I feel like what really gets you, when you see it the most is when you have to fake who you are. That's when you start discovering who you really are. So like for me, for example, like if I have a customer that's like being very disrespectful, whatever it is, and I have to like be polite back, but really I want to be like, yo, get out of my face. You know what I mean? Like that's when you start discovering like, okay, this isn't me. In a disrespectful situation, I don't want to be respectful back. Like that's how like I start figuring out like, okay, this is my true self. Because if I was alone and this person couldn't hear me, I would not have responded the same way. That's why I'm saying when you're alone. That's
a good example, but I say here's a better one. And we all been through this situation as a young person or whatever the case is. But when you first meet somebody from the opposite sex, right? Are you truly giving them the real you 100%? No, there's kind of this thing that you may want to do to attract that person, right? It's like the National Geographic channel when they bring you that bird and he's doing the dance and he's flapping his feathers and the guy is telling you, well, he's trying to lure in his mate.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like that's how we are a little bit. So I get your point. And being alone, right? That's where you figure out the real you. That's why a lot of people don't like being alone.
Yeah, that's why a lot of people went nuts during the quarantine.
They don't like themselves.
They don't like themselves.
They don't like who they really are.
It's like a mix of that and reality. You know, trying to accepting themselves, like for what they could do when they're alone or with just family. Some people have family issues, and they see they can't really stand their family or stuff like that. Their friends, they miss their friends, and they start realizing that their identity is their friends or their who they hang out with.
Or they just need some external stimuli.
Yes, they need like some outside energy to keep their identity.
Like the piece to their puzzle.
Yes, exactly. Like you need,
because they feel incomplete.
Complete. Exactly. Yep. You're not complete without your significant other or whoever it is, your friends, your whatever dog. I don't know, whatever it is.
Dog. Hopefully the dog's with you.
Some people prefer dogs before human beings. Believe it.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Definitely.
It's because sometimes the dog doesn't have an opinion.
Well, it does. It wants to go outside. It wants the biscuit.
It doesn't have an opinion, though. For example, like a dog is a man's best friend. Mm-hmm. I guarantee you, if that dog could speak, that would no longer be the case. But
arguably, I think arguably, like.
But I mean, it's an interesting idea to think about. But also, you said when you sleep.
Yeah, I think in your dream, when you have no control or minimal control, I feel like, you start revealing stuff about yourself, and
maybe you're discovering yourself in your dreams as well, right?
Definitely.
Your subconscious just revealing itself to you.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, oh, is this what I really think deep down inside? Is this who I really am in a way? It's kind of like reading your own book.
Yeah, like a revelation, like you said.
Yeah.
Definitely, yeah. Like, it's like if people that have issues with their parents or siblings, whatever, and they have it in their dreams, they start like realizing that maybe I'm at fault,
right?
And it's not like it's your dreams, it's your conscious, so they start discovering themselves in their dreams. Like, yeah, I definitely agree.
What about the dreams that you have, and then later down the line you see the same thing that happened in your dream?
Oh man, that freaks me out.
Yeah.
That freaks me out.
You ever had that happen?
I think we all have that happen to us, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like asking, what are deja vus?
Oh my God, that's another one though. Deja vus.
Yeah. It's like your soul is kind of taking a peek at what's going on outside your body.
Right.
It's like you feel like time, in a sense, is maybe ticking slower. Yeah,
It's just so many possibilities, right? Like, could it be that there's infinite lifetimes and one of them just overlap, like parallel universes that are occurring simultaneously, and one of them just overlapped? Could it be like there's just been many lives and now you remember this part of your other life? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, we're all connected in a sense. We're like in such a way where our souls comes outside of time. So we feel like this moment happened,
right,
but really it's like just, having an outside experience of time. It could be many things. I mean, what is deja vu?
You mean like how would our society explain it scientifically?
Has there been any scientific?
I think maybe they might have tried to say that, there's a molecule within your brain that I'm not sure exactly.
Right.
I kind of remember reading about it vaguely.
It's a French word, right?
Yeah.
I believe so, yeah.
Deja vu.
We can Google
French.
it, no? We can Google that.
Yeah.
What's a deja vu?
Yeah.
I'll give you the exact definition.
Deja vu.
Deja vu describes an uncanny sensation you've already experienced something, even when you never have. So, what else it says is experts generally agree this phenomenon probably relates to memory in some way. So if you have a deja vu, you might have experienced a similar event before, you just can't remember it. That's what.
Yeah, I don't buy that, man. I just don't there's some explanations from science. I just don't buy it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I've heard, and I don't know how true this is, but it's like your life is shown to you when you're first born. So like it's literally your life flashing before your eyes. So when it happens, those are like very faint memories of what you were showed your whole life of.
There's so many. There's so many.
But you know what I love? The fact that the French language encapsulated that, right? Different languages can encapsulate different thought processes, and then they have words for them. We're all bilingual here.
Yeah.
Right? Did you guys ever notice this about yourself, that you're a different personality in a different language?
Yeah, definitely.
Wow.
No?
Definitely.
Like, I noticed in English, I'm a little bit more curt, maybe a little less, maybe more emotionless. Rather in Urdu, you know, I can be more lively, a little bit more loving.
Really? Wow.
At the same time.
I feel like more like older, more mature when I speak
Arabic.
Yeah.
I feel
More
wiser.
serious in a sense.
Because every society really encapsulates different thought processes, right? So I feel like when you learn a different language, you discover a different yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah,
in a way.
Back to the identity thing.
It's like a dance. Language is a dance. I mean, think about like the English language that we're used to now, and then like when you hear somebody who speaks Italian, you know, it's like a different dance. You're looking at it weird, but Italians themselves, they don't hear it that way.
Yeah.
They look at us speaking English in a different dance. It's like
That's so
you
true.
know,
Yeah.
and it's funny because I read this thing one time. Actually, it was Terrence McKenna that said it.
Really?
Yeah. So he goes,
About Terrence.
tell me. he says, language was invented so people could lie.
Is that what he said?
Yeah.
Man, I think there's a lot more to language than that, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
I mean, think about it. We're basically making mouth noises, right? That are dancing and bouncing off within the oxygen molecules, and our ears are detecting it, the vibrations, and then we decode it in a sense. It's literally decoding air.
That's
The mouth
amazing.
noises that we're making from our mouth.
Yeah.
Vibrations.
Right? Simply put. But then it's coded with meaning, this sound.
That's absolutely amazing.
It's like, if you don't normalize it, if we don't just become so used to the fact, oh yeah, it's language, oh yeah, we're talking, and if it's just thrown to you in the beginning, like a caveman, you didn't have it, all of a sudden it's like magic that me and you sitting here who can't communicate, because obviously language is not just mouth noises too, it's body language. Don't they say that's the majority of it?
Yeah.
Of speaking to somebody, or how somebody shows their presence is the way they posture themselves. And you can already tell how, from someone's demeanor, how things are going to go. Right or wrong?
Very true.
Right?
Body language.
Body language is huge. There has to be other forms of languages as well, rather than just a form of speaking.
Right. No.
Gestures, small gestures, that speak a lot too.
Yeah, and then also it's like if you look at the closest star to Earth, which is the moon, right?
The star?
Yeah.
Well, that would be the sun.
Oh, okay. So let's say you go outside of the Earth's atmosphere, right? And then now you no longer have this thing called gravity. Okay, so when that happens, you are no longer able to communicate verbally, right? Because
there's no oxygen there.
There's no oxygen. So if you were on the moon right now, you and I, we couldn't even hear each other.
Sign language.
There's no vibrations going through any type of air or atmosphere.
Isn't it beautiful that there's so many different languages and we're so diverse? French is a beautiful one, right?
Right.
Because I love that they have words like deja vu. Is there another language that has a word like that? Not that we know of right now in common tongues, no. But whenever you travel to a different place, I love to do this. I like to almost get used to their language and kind of try to make it my own, or think of myself as them and how it would feel. Like how when I was in Japan, when I was there, at first it sounded very foreign. The way they said arigato, hi, and then after a little while, it started to become like my language. And that's normal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Did that happen to you too, Anas?
Yeah, I would say so as well.
And even their food, it started to become like normalized. But I like to do that with all languages. You know, like I want to learn Spanish, so I'm always trying. And I'm always trying to see like how they're speaking to it the way, and then I try to relate it to how I speak Urdu with people who speak Urdu.
Right.
You know, that being my first language. And then, because English was my second language. And before I knew it, it became I made it my own. And now I think in English.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
It's funny. You can actually think in different languages.
Right?
Like each language.
Like I like
can
to
have
think
its
in English. Because I feel like
to
Urdu, different moments, different emotions. I think English can be very precise.
Well, is that because you're used to it? Or?
Maybe I'm more advanced in English than I am in Urdu. Who knows? But I feel like English can be very pinpoint on what you're trying to say without the emotions of things.
The first time I really felt that is when I went to Russia.
Really?
I couldn't understand the language. Not at all. Not even a couple words. My first trip. And I couldn't read it.
So how did it go? Like, how long did it take before you started to feel like it was your own?
Oh, it took time. I don't know the alphabet. So for example, if I'm on the train or the subway system and I wanted to go from point A to point B.
Yeah.
You know, if you travel somewhere, if it was French, Italian, Portuguese, or whatever,
right,
or German, at least they're using, you know, the letters we use.
Wait, so they don't use English like alphabets?
No, they use Cyrillic. So it's weird. It's like letters are backwards, upside down.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I couldn't so if I wanted to go to a certain stop, like they'll give me the names of the stops. I couldn't read it. So what I started doing after a couple of days is I started realizing how a certain sound looked. You know? It's funny because the I think it's like a backwards N. So every time I seen a backwards N, I knew that was I.
Oh. Interesting. That's very interesting. And then it started to, you feel like it was yours?
I wouldn't say mine, but
it became more normal?
Yeah, it became more normal. You started putting words together or letterings together.
Yeah.
Making the sounds. But it's different when you don't understand language, but when you don't understand the alphabet, that's completely different. Like Japan, you know.
Like, oh yeah, Japanese. So foreign.
Can't read the letters. You can't speak the language. That's a different challenge.
And we human beings, right? Let's say everybody spoke the same language. Let's say everybody looked alike. I mean, by color, by ethnicity. We just had one. We'd get sick of each other. Because we as human beings, we love, what do we love? We love change. Why do we like designer clothes? Why do we like different types of cars, different types of colors? I mean, if you want to just think about it on a materialistic type of, indulgement in our lives, right? What about interaction with other human beings? What about different ideas, different spices, different foods, right? Different scenery. I think that, we really don't hold on to the beautiful things, or we really don't cherish the beautiful things that this world provides for us. I mean, you get, juices, different types of tastes. Look at the amount of fruits that we have and receive. Because you have, how many taste buds do we have?
I don't know.
Altogether, I think it was like, seven or...
Is it just 7?
Yeah, I think so.
No.
I don't know.
Oh, you mean like 7 positions? Like we could taste sweet, bitter, spicy, that sort of a thing?
Yeah.
Okay. So
it's just you were created with so many different senses to begin with. So I think it's very important to be accepting of one another. That's my philosophy in life.
Right, you got to embrace diversity, of course, at the end of the day. But
national pride is all, where's that line go? Like, national pride is there. People take pride of where they come from. You know what I'm saying?
There's nothing wrong with that.
You should be proud of your heritage. Why not?
100%.
You're saying, where do you draw the line for it to become fanatic?
Well, that's what you get when you have something like patriotism. So patriotism is kind of like putting up a fence and saying my side is better than yours, right?
Yeah, it's like a thin line between diversity and segregation.
No, but you could be patriotic without being racist. Hey, I'm from where I come from. I love my country. You know, I love my culture. That doesn't mean I don't like yours.
No, that not. I'm not saying like that's it. That's what it is. Let's draw the line. No, I'm talking about in a sense, you know, in some sort of way, you know, you have to learn how to be a patriot, you know, and understand that there's different people out there. You know, there's different types of people in the world. So yeah, you can be a patriot, but you can't put up the fence and say, you know, my side is better than yours in a sense, you know?
The world's a lot smaller than we think it is, you know what I mean?
Exactly.